Hey there, YouTube listeners. Hey there, Earth Station One listeners. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Earth Station One podcast. That's right, folks. Happy New Year. 2023 is here. We've made it another year, folks. So mark it off your calendars. We didn't self destruct over the last year. Pat yourselves on the back. Definitely deserve that. Congratulations to making it into 2023. And we have a great one for you tonight for the first show of the new year. We're doing a Rants and Raves episode, and we are going to be talking about our top 10 movies for 2022 and our top 10 TV shows. And TV shows could be network shows, it could be streaming shows, it could be, you know, all the way across the board. It even could be a mini series or something that you watched on YouTube and you really liked. So you have all these different options, and we are going to have a lot of fun with this tonight. And of course, I'm your host, Mike Faber. Let's introduce the crew for tonight. Mr. Mike Gordon, of course, is here with his top 10.
Howdy. And
Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year, man. It really got off to a cold start here in the South, right? Like Atlanta and actually a lot of places got a blast of cold air like this week. So I forget that it can get that cold down here.
I
But
thought I thought I was in the room with Wednesday Adams or something like that. It was so cold.
It was chilly. Yeah, it's so chilly. So yeah, that was but if you have your feet up with a nice movie or a nice series,
Sure.
then all is good.
Oh, exactly. And it's going to be a lot of fun talking about this because I'm sure we might have some crossovers and some, similarities because we're geeks. A lot of us like a lot of the same things. But I'm going to be curious to hear what you do have or don't have, or maybe give me some suggestions on things I should be watching and everything. So it should be tons of fun. And we also have Ashley Pauls is stepping by. Hi, Ashley.
Hello, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year to you. Welcome to 2023.
I know it sounds like such a strange futuristic year just saying 2023. Like, how did we get here? Where did the time all go?
Well, it's better than saying "ot 23" or something like
Yeah.
that. I've heard people say. So I've heard some of those whippersnapper kids say that. And so we definitely are very happy to have you stopping by again tonight. And, you've been on the show quite regularly lately. I think you're becoming the new YouTube sensation for us.
Oh, gosh. Well,
So it's pretty awesome. And it's always great to have you by.
oh, thank
So,
you. Always a pleasure.
It's because she's got her cat like that show. It makes us a cat video.
yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. It's like people don't want to see me. People are on YouTube for the cats. So hopefully Daisy will make a cameo appearance this evening.
That would be great if she did. Definitely would be great. And thank you, everybody at home for joining us tonight. We do appreciate you guys more than ever. Please, feedback is always welcome. You could leave feedback for us wherever, you're listening to us or watching us on YouTube. Thumbs up. And also, if you get a chance, please hit the subscribe button. That's right below this. We would really appreciate it. And, feedback is always welcome. Feedback at earthstation1.com. If you want to write us or or if wherever you listen to us, feedback is always great. Thank you guys for everything. Our numbers on YouTube are going up, and we have great things planned for it. And hopefully, over the next couple of months, more people will be telling their friends and neighbors. We're trying to figure out the different algorithms and everything. So as we grow with YouTube, we're still not forgetting about our audio folks too. So we're still going to do special things for you guys. And we also have, some announcements coming up soon about some kind of, appearances that we're going to be doing in 2023. So, sooner than later, you might actually say. So it should be a ton of fun to do. And you know what? Let's get started. Of course, want to say thank you to our patrons. Want to say thank you to everyone who's been supporting us through Tifosi Optical. Tifosi Optical, we've done great in December with Tifosi. We got a lot of people buying sunglasses for the holidays. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you get a chance, go to tifosioptics.com and put in the coupon code EarthStation1. That's all you have to do, folks, and you get 10% off your whole order, even sale items, your whole order at tifosioptics.com. Tell them EarthStation1 sent you. All right, Mr. Mike, ready for our rants and raves? We haven't done one of these in quite some time.
We haven't done rants and raves in some time, as you pointed out, but we really have never done a rants and raves of the year. This is a first for us. Now, the next episode that you guys watch and hear will be our putting 2022 in the geek seat, and those are very specific questions. They will, so we're not really going to get into our top 10 list of TV shows or movies or whatnot on that show. That's going to be very specific to like a lot of geek questions, like you hear when we do interview someone for the geek seat. So this is a rant and rave where we are going to
But it's
talk
us doing it. It's us doing it, folks.
It is. It is. It's all right. It's true.
It is us.
And so this segment is going to be rants and raves. We're gonna focus on the raves. We might get a couple of rants in too. But yeah, we've never really talked about our top 10 list, and man, the lines are blurring between television series and movies and everything. This was a hard list for me to compile separately because a lot of things air on streaming, a lot of things went to the movies, some things didn't go to the movies. Some documentaries went 2 or 3 episodes, so you're like, is that a movie, is it a series? It's not really, like, it's all like up for grabs. So whatever we have as our choices are just sort of placeholders. Like, don't like hold us to that standard, like, oh well, that's not a series, or oh, that's not a
Well, it's like I said, it could be a mini series, it could be even
Absolutely.
a streaming show or something. So you could even have had Earth Station 1 as your favorite streaming TV series, because we're up on YouTube and you can watch it on your TV now. So hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
And also, I saw a lot of variety of movies. I think for me personally, and we'll get to everybody else, but for me personally, I saw over 60 movies this past year.
Wow.
And that's just movies. That's not including like TV series. Well, I tried to make a concerted effort, especially in the last month or so, to get caught up on movies that were released in 2022. And fortunately, with streaming services now, you don't have to wait that long. So almost everything that came out, like in the first half of the year, for sure, but even up to like Black Adam, which was just a couple months ago, is already available on streaming. So, and even some things that are still in theaters are streamable if you want to pay. So, so I was able to watch a lot of things that came out this year. And for me, there's animated movies, there's documentaries, and also just, fiction. And it was difficult to like combine all of those, because I kind of consider them different kinds of movies, all into one list. But, I may do. So Ashley, what about you overall? How was this year of releases of movies and TV series for you?
Yeah, I feel the same way a lot that you did with the blurring of the lines. And in working on my blog post, wrap up my top 10 of the year, I actually combined movies and TV series because my favorite overall story of the year happened to be a TV series, which is weird feeling for me because normally I'm the movie gal. Movie is my favorite storytelling medium, but I felt like there was just a lot of really strong television type storytelling this year. So yeah, it was a little bit challenging for this segment. I had to go and then break apart the list and then fill it in separately. So yeah, but really, I think in some ways that's a good thing because there's so much different ways to tell stories, so many different ways to access it, and more geek storytelling is always a good thing. And I'm also pretty excited looking at my list. There's a lot of things on this list that weren't on my radar at the start of the year, or even things that I didn't think I would enjoy or was interested in. So I thought that was kind of cool how it worked out. These lists are very different than I would have thought at the beginning of the year, but I'm pretty excited by all the stories I got to experience.
That's a good way to put it, actually, because one thing we wanted to say that this has to be, the show or movie has to have been released at in 2022.
Yeah.
So it can't have been like released in 2021 or such, because
right.
I know a lot of people discovered Encanto and stuff on Disney in 2022 when it started streaming, but it was released in 2021. That's so that shot it off my list right there.
Yeah, it's the same thing with me with when I was looking at TV series like or streaming series, whatever you want to call it, like Hawkeye, right? Like,
yeah,
that really started last year and just bled into this year. And so, it was like, I didn't really consider that a release of this year. I'm curious, though, just a quick look at your movies, the movies that you have on your top 10. How many of those did you see in the theater? Because I'm looking at my 10, and I saw 1, 2, 3, 4. I saw 4 of them in the theater. Everything else I streamed. So, and that's a big difference.
You're making me count now. Hold on.
That's a big difference from years past. Oh, 7 out of the 10.
But which still
That's
feels
awesome.
low for me. Like so many that just streaming were on this list.
6 of mine awesome. I saw in the theater.
Wow. Okay, so you guys saw a lot more in the theater. Either you saw a lot more in the theater, or you saw just a lot more that you liked than you did on streaming.
Oh yeah.
So, all right. So without further ado, let's get to it. Ashley, just go over your list from 10 to 1, if they're in that order, and just let us know what's on your list, and we'll sort of compare and contrast.
Yeah.
Are we doing movies first?
We're doing movies. Let's do movies. Let's start with the movies first.
Okay.
All right. Well, number 10, I put Downton Abbey: A New Era. I don't know that this is necessarily one of the best movies I saw this year, but it was one. I've been a fan of Downton Abbey for so long, and just coming back to that show, getting to see it in the theater, getting to see an emotional farewell to Maggie Smith's character, it was an experience I really enjoyed. And then number 9, I had Elvis. Just what a great movie, and capturing who he was. I felt like I learned some things I didn't know about Elvis, and I was expecting it to be a more stylized movie, but then like going online and reading about some of the history was just heartbreaking. Some of the things he went through. So just a great film, but also a great way to learn more about Elvis and hopefully introduce a new generation to his music, because it's still great music all these years later.
Oh yeah. It's interesting too, because considering who the director was on this,
yes,
you expected, something out of this world, very artsy and everything, but he played it pretty close to the belt, and it was pretty amazing.
A very moving film.
I thought it was extremely stylized. I thought it was extremely like sort of like a mythic version of Elvis, because I'm an Elvis fan, so I happen to know a lot of some of the events of his life and everything, and a lot of it was either dismissed entirely, or some of the things that actually happened took place in different times in his life and everything like that, and the movie just had this sort of really mythic flow to me, that it was surreal. It was like a storybook version of Elvis, rather than like a authentic, like, this is how it happened, this is the way it was kind of look. But that's how I felt.
It wasn't a documentary, so there you go.
No, exactly right.
It wasn't Ken Burns' Elvis.
That would be a totally different experience.
Let's get Ken Burns on that, right?
And then number 8, I was so sad this didn't ever come to my local theater, but watching it on Netflix was a delight. Glass Onion. I don't know that I liked it quite as much as Knives Out, just because Knives Out was the first. It was such a surprise, and you can't beat a twist where Chris Evans, Captain America himself, turns out to be the villain. But I just love Daniel Craig as the detective. I was going to try to pronounce it, but I'm scared, so I'm going to make somebody else do that later, be the first one. But just a great whodunit.
We tortured it big time last week. That's enough.
So you all know who it is, Daniel Craig's detective, but just so much fun, and a great cast of A-list actors playing those roles, so really enjoyed that. The next one, horror movie, makes my top 10, which might be a first. It was Jordan Peele's Nope. He is just such a fantastic, mind-bending storyteller, and I probably wouldn't have ever touched the horror genre with the 10-foot pole if not for him. So I just think he does really intriguing things with the way he tells stories. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next.
That actually surprised me. I actually watched it about 2 weeks ago, and I was riveted with this film.
It's fascinating.
It is. And it took a twist I wasn't expecting. And I'm not going to ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah, so I had originally thought the trailers gave away too much, but like there's still surprises. And so yeah, if you
Nope.
haven't seen it
Nope.
yet,
Nope.
yes, say yep to nope and go watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I saw it about a week ago as well, and on streaming. I think Peacock has it. But yeah, it was. I'm not big into horror movies either. But it's, I think Peele's movies sort of transcend. They're not your typical
Yes.
like gore fests, right? They're not about that. They're about setting a mood, setting a tone, and just, you know, making
It's not, it's not a
and
Rob
seeing if it'll
Zombie
pay
movie.
off.
It's not a Rob
No.
Zombie movie at all.
Yeah, well, I don't think one of those will make your top 10.
Oh
No,
God,
it did
no.
not. Spoiler alert.
No.
That will not be showing up on my top 10. So
All right, next up.
this one, not necessarily an Oscar winner, but I thought it was delightful. The Lost City with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum.
Oh,
Just
awesome.
hilarious. Channing Tatum plays a not so smart but heart of gold cover model, and Sandra Bullock is a romance novelist. They get lost in the jungle. It feels like an old-fashioned, fun, just action romantic comedy, and so it's a good one to watch on a dreary winter night. And next on the list, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, kind of another cozy movie. It's about an older woman who puts her life savings together and goes to Paris to buy a Christian Dior dress. So if you love period dramas, it's just very charming, another very cozy movie. And it never came to my local theater later, so I finally did get a chance to watch it, and I loved it. And then Wakanda Forever was my favorite Marvel movie of the year. Just a very emotional, mature, thought-provoking film. And I really like how they honored Chadwick Boseman, but also passed the torch onto the new Black Panther. It was all done very respectfully, very well. I love the introduction of Namor and want to see more of him. Just a great film overall. It was long, but it felt just very important to the MCU, and I think one of the best ones that's come out of Phase 4.
Sure. That's good.
And then another streaming movie, Enola Holmes 2, I thought was just so much fun. I love seeing Millie Bobby Brown and Henry Cavill together in these movies. And even though I'm sad that Henry Cavill is not going to be playing Superman, selfishly, one of my first thoughts was like, oh, perhaps he now has time in his schedule for Enola
More
Holmes
Sherlock.
3. They can fast track that. So if you're listening, Henry Cavill, please move that up to the top of your schedule.
The thing is, I think she's a little busy right now with something strange, you know. It's a
Yes,
thing.
yeah.
It's a thing, you know.
Yeah, I know it's another Netflix property too, but just throwing that out there. If they have some time in their schedule, I would like to see more Enola Holmes.
Yeah,
And then
I think it did well enough that I think we will see more.
Yes.
And then number 2 is The Batman. I really liked Robert Pattinson's take on the character. I think he might be my favorite person as Batman, not necessarily Bruce Wayne, but my favorite person in the bat suit. And I really liked how the noir feel, that they made this a detective story, crime solving, and just a really great film with some beautiful shots. I mean, I will never forget the first time I saw the trailer and you see the vehicle Penguin upside down and Batman is walking towards him through the flames. He looks like he's hanging upside down. Just the imagery of the fire and the bat is like, that is just one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a superhero film. So I could just watch that scene on repeat. But great Batman, great superhero film. I know there's a lot of shakeups going on at DC, but I hope that they find a place for this little corner of the Batman universe to keep going.
Cool.
Yeah, I think the plan is to continue with those, at least do 3 of them anyway.
Yes, I think that would be good. Just its own little standalone trilogy. I definitely want to see more. And then my number one,
and number one,
all the way to the top.
I
of the
am the
charts.
most surprised by this one. I did not expect this to be here, but I enjoyed the heck out of Top Gun Maverick. It was
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I cannot believe this is my number 1 movie of the year, but I just really enjoyed seeing it. I went to see it 2 times in IMAX, and just the spectacle of seeing the planes, the practical with the special effects. I also really like films that deal with legacy. One of my favorite Star Wars movies is The Force Awakens. I know it didn't necessarily work for everybody. That's totally cool, but I like the idea of having older legacy characters with younger characters and kind of grappling with what's gone on in the past, moving forward to the future. And I thought they brought that in. I did not really love the first Top Gun movie. It was what it was, but I thought that they did some interesting things with this one. And also, personally, it came in the midst of a difficult time for me. I just found out that my 19-year-old cat had been diagnosed with cancer. So I needed to go to the movies. I needed to escape for a bit, and something that was just kind of like a good old fashioned action blockbuster. And that delivered for me. So yeah, many of these movies I didn't expect to be on my list, but I had a great time watching film this year. So can't wait to see what surprises blow me away next year.
I think Top Gun Maverick was the biggest surprise for everybody this
Yeah.
year. I mean, even the people who thought it might do well, I don't think expected it to do as well as it did. I mean, it is the number one movie by far of the year in terms of box office. And it's probably going to show up on a lot of people's list as well. It's going to be one of those ones that, since it was released in the summer, early summer, and since it's more of a blockbuster than a movie that you normally associate with awards and Oscars and whatnot. I
Yeah.
don't know how well it'll do that way, but and I must admit, I have not yet seen it. It's one of those things that I was like, man, by the time how can I make a list without seeing the biggest movie of the year? I still need to see it. I will see it before the year's end, before I finally release my top lists, like on social media and everything like that. So it's possible it could still squeak in to my top 10 list, but I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah.
And
I've
it
got to
seemed
see.
like there was definitely a lot of word of mouth about that one. And I haven't watched it since it came out like on home streaming, because I'm almost kind of afraid, because I saw it 2 times in IMAX. And then it's like, how will that be? Because I feel like the visual storytelling with the planes is so much a part of the film. So I'll be curious to hear what the experience is on a small screen.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm only hoping that the small screen doesn't diminish it in the way that we talked about when we reviewed Avatar.
Yeah.
Like that would diminish seeing Avatar, if you didn't see it in 3D and big screen and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, interesting list, and definitely some ones that I did not see. So I'm definitely going to add a few of those to my list. But it's amazing. I love how different we all are. So, Mike, let's see how different you are from me as well. What is your top 10 movies that were released in 2022?
Okay, starting at number 10, I'm going to go with Death on the Nile. We reviewed
that. Almost made my list.
I loved the movie. It wasn't as good as the original Peter Ustinov version, but I love Kenneth Branagh doing Hercule Poirot. He is just awesome. And I love the original source material. So basically for me, I thought it was a good fit. They changed the story around a little bit, but it still was the same concept. And it was enjoyable. And so, that it made my list for that reason alone. And it was a good popcorn movie and a good mystery. Mm-hmm. And I'll have another mystery on my list a little bit. So you'll hear that a little further.
That's a mystery too.
Yes. Coming in at number 9 is my only Marvel movie I had, and that is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. It was epic. It was just amazing to watch. I loved the characterizations. I loved seeing, a true tribute to Chadwick in the first 10 minutes. If you don't have a tear in your eye and are a little choked up somewhere, you don't have a soul, basically. And it was a lot of fun to see. And I liked that they brought Namor finally into the MCU. And there's a lot they can do with him. So I'm going to be very curious to see where they go with it. And this laid the foundation for a lot of different things. And I think, you're also laying the foundation for a super big bad for the next phase of the MCU, and it is not going to be Kang. So I think it's going to be very interesting. And you saw her in this movie quite a bit.
Hmm.
So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with it. Number 8 is the Batman. The Batman was it is my favorite Batman movie. I even like it more than the Michael Keaton movie. All right, you could start throwing stones at me if you wanted, but I enjoyed it. It was the perfect noir
Mhm.
character. It felt like in times I was watching the comic book come alive. And there was a lot of Batman. And I've been reading Batman since I was wee high. So, it's been, and I've seen all the different iterations and I loved it. I thought they captured it really, really well. There was things I didn't like about it. I wasn't totally thrilled with the Catwoman, but I liked Robert Pattinson as Batman and I loved the Penguin. He was awesome in it. I'm looking forward to the Penguin series they're going to be doing on HBO. And, so I'm want to explore this universe more and bring it on basically. And, the Riddler was interesting. It was a great take on it. And, it wasn't, the Riddler I love is from the TV shows and everything,
Hmm.
you know, you know, Portia and, Austin. So it's pretty cool to see, but I like this version too. It's just a completely psychotic Hannibal Lecter take on it, pretty much. So it was pretty cool with that. Going on to number 7, my other mystery, Glass Onion, which we talked about last week. Um, I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Knives Out, but I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the story, and you know, Norton, I just want to slap half the time I ever see him on the screen anyway. So he plays such a snarky bastard in this movie, and he's a great foil in it. And you know, if you want to hear our full review, listen to our last episode because we do a full review of it. So definitely Glass Onion is definitely made the list. A lot of people didn't agree with me on this one, but number 6, Bullet Train. I loved Bullet Train. It was my feel good movie of the year. It was a fun adventure. Go to the movie theater, eat popcorn, and laugh your ass off at some of the most ridiculous stuff. And the characterizations were awesome. And I like Brad Pitt. I admit it. I like Brad Pitt, and I think he's a good he's a good comic slash
You
adventure character.
love him.
Well, if he came up to me and said, Mike, I like you, and it's like, okay, Brad, all right.
Just like melt in a little puddle on the floor.
Exactly. Or should I call you Ladybug? Right. So yeah. Glass Onion, it's a ton of fun. It's just a fun film. And that also leads into number 5. Everything Everywhere All at Once. My big surprise this year. It was I was not expecting to love this movie as much. We always were saying, alternate universes and stuff. Oh, that's Doctor Strange. Well, everything everywhere all at once. What? Hold on. Hold my beer, basically. And, it was awesome. Michelle Yeoh is just amazing. So, if she does not get nominated for an Academy Award for this film, I'll be shocked. And this movie should be, all the way across the board with award winners and such. So I definitely think if you have a chance, it's streaming now. So if you get a chance, watch it and don't take any breaks. Watch it all the way through, and you are going to have so much fun with this movie. It is just an awesome, awesome film. Number 4 for me, Clerks 3, Kevin Smith. It is Kevin Smith's masterpiece. You are used to Kevin, Jay and Silent Bob, hiss and shit jokes, all the way across the board. And if you have a dry eye when this movie ends, you again do not have a second movie that way. Kevin is awesome for writing dialogue, and this movie is almost semi autobiographical about what he went through with his heart attack, but he ties it into Randall instead. And it is a great movie. And if he ends now, the Clerks franchise, because I know he's going to Mallrats,
The
he's
View
going to
Skewiverse.
no, there's gonna be more. He already has plans for more View Askewverse. Come on, Jay and Silent Bob will be old fuckers in wheelchairs, and and he'll still be making those movies. So, yeah, it's pretty much, it was awesome. Clerks, if you haven't had a chance to see Clerks 3, it's streaming. It's out on DVD, Blu-ray. It's not out in 4K yet, which I was kind of surprised, but it's definitely worth checking out. Number 3, Weird. That's right, folks. Weird Al Yankovic's biography movie, air quotes. We did a review of that a few weeks back.
Hey, more realistic, or it's more actual, like based on more reality than the Elvis movie is.
We'll get to that, Mike. We'll get to that. But yes, Weird was awesome. Daniel Radcliffe was awesome as Weird Al Yankovic, and it was just a ton of fun. And come on, Rainn Wilson as Dr. Demento, and Evelyn Rachel Wood as Madonna. Come on, you can't. That is just amazing casting.
Perfect casting.
Yeah, it was just awesome. And if you haven't had a chance, it's up on the Roku channel, so definitely check that out. Number 2 movie I just saw this last weekend, so that's why my list changed. It is The Fabelmans. The Fabelmans.
I want to see that.
It is amazing. And stay all the way to the end, folks, because literally there's a great cameo at the very end. And, the movie,
it's not a post-credit scene.
No, it isn't.
At the end of the movie.
That's the end of it.
Spielberg doesn't do post-credits.
No, he doesn't. And you know what? It is awesome to be able to see this movie, and it's one of my favorite Steven Spielberg movies I've seen in years. And I think, again, another award nomination movie. And it is just beautiful. It is a great story, and it touches home in a lot of different ways to a lot of different people. So it's pretty cool with that. Number 1. That's right, folks. Number 1, Elvis. That's right.
Wow.
My number 1 movie of the year was Elvis. I loved Elvis. I enjoyed the movie. Like Mike, I know tons about Elvis. I've been to Graceland. I've read, and I've seen all the different biography movies. I've read a couple of the books, and they graced over a lot, like Mike said, but it was entertaining. And I loved that it wasn't Tom Hanks as trying to be turn the colonel into a good old boy type thing. No, he was a total dick. He was an asshole. And I'm glad they captured that.
He was a troll.
Oh, yes, he was. So it was interesting. And you know what, folks? Elvis was a lot of fun if you didn't get a chance to see it. And I didn't even realize until recently that it was the actual kid who played Elvis who was doing the singing and a lot of it.
Through the first half, yes.
Yeah. And then, later on, they, of course, did Elvis. And then I loved this last scene where he did Unchained Melody. And they switched it out for a sec. And they actually had the real footage from Elvis's last concert. And it was
blended together well.
It was done very, very well. So definitely, that's my top 10 list for movies this year.
Yeah, that's an incredible list. Elvis did not make my top 10. It was close. But as I was watching movies, things got bumped down. Like Avatar kept getting bumped lower and lower, and Elvis kept getting bumped lower and lower. And some of the other movies you guys mentioned,
Avatar was never even ever going to be on that list.
well, I will admit there was a point when I was first making the list that Avatar was there, and I was like, damn it, I need to see more movies, because I was like, I can't let Avatar be on my top 10. I just can't. So yes, I saw some more movies, and it got bumped down lower and lower. And I think all of these movies are more solid. I will say that this year as a whole, I think there were a lot of decent 3.5 and 4-star movies. Not that many 4-star and 5-star for me. So
I would agree.
I do think that overall it was I don't want to say it was a weak year, because compared to last year and the year before, I think this year felt like the first year we were finally getting everything back. Like it seemed like movies were coming out. Some weekends we had 2 movies in a row. Like there was nothing. There was no time in my life this year where there was nothing to watch, nothing out that I wanted to see. So, all right. So without further ado, my top 10, number 10 spot goes to The Sea Beast. It is an animated movie that's on Netflix. It is the best animated movie that I've seen this year. It is an outstanding movie. It's not by Pixar. It's not by Disney. You recognize some of the people who made it, but it's just an original story. Well, I think it might be based on a children's book, but it's got pirates, and it's got it's really good. It's really good. If you guys haven't seen it, you guys need to check it out. It is, and Netflix has a lot of good animated movies that came out this year. They came out with there was Wendell and Wild, there was My Father's Dragon, there was of course Pinocchio by Guillermo del Toro. Lots of great animated stuff coming out through Netflix this year, but Sea Beast wins it for me. The next spot goes to Glass Onion for all the reasons you guys have said. It's a solid entry. Is it better than? I don't care. It's good. It's really good. And I definitely recommend everybody watch that one as well.
Cool.
Next up is Weird, the Al Yankovic story. This movie was the most fun I had watching something. It was the movie that made me laugh the most. I thought it was generally funny. Sometimes I can only take Weird Al in small doses, but this was full on Weird Al, and it was a great satire. It was a satire to movies, and especially biopics, music biopics, as well as he does satires to pop songs. And I thought it was beautiful. It worked on every level. All right, so at number 6, I kind of cheated here. I'm just going to say this slot is for all 3 Marvel movies that came out. Because I did not want to see like Marvel movies scattered throughout my 10. And to be honest with you, they're so different, the movies that came out this year. I liked some things about all of them, and I didn't like some things about, they were all consistently good, you know? So whether it was Doctor Strange and whether it was Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, or even Thor Love and Thunder, there was things that I liked about the MCU is still strong, in my opinion.
Right,
very strong.
I remember you weren't too high on Thor when it came out.
I didn't like the humor aspect, but I love the Jane Foster story. I love it so much, and I thought they really did a good job with that. Okay, so that's at that spot, MCU as a whole. And then next up is the Batman. This movie is everything I've wanted in a Batman movie. As you guys have said, it's outstanding. The shots in this are, I have never seen Batman depicted in this way, and it's so perfect. That opening shot, his entrance when he comes out of the shadows in the subway, is just like, and leading up to that, everybody looking at every dark corner, every dark spot in Gotham, waiting for him to burst out, because that's how he operates. And
that's so true.
I just thought that environment set the tone for what was a great movie. I didn't care for Riddler that much, but the rest of it I give top notch to.
Cool.
Number 5 is Prey.
I haven't seen that one yet either.
It is a next movie in the Predator series, but it's so much more than that. I think it even is better than, and exceeds the original Predator movie. It's so well done, and the action sequences are different and unique. The way it goes about telling the story and the characters involved, I was compelled in this movie like no other action movie this year, except for maybe one. So definitely, just because it was released streaming, it wasn't on the big. This is the one movie that I saw streaming that I wish I'd seen on the big screen. There were some others, but this one I really thought they should have released that on the big screen, because I would have loved to have experienced it that way. Next up is Goodnight Oppy, which is a documentary on the Mars probes, the first couple Mars probes, Opportunity and Perseverance. And it's just a amazing feel-good story of these robots and what humans can do when they put their minds to it. And it's an incredibly inspirational story of all these people working together at NASA to get these robots, these drones, these robots on Mars, and how they were only supposed to last like 3 months tops. And they ended up going for years and years and years, collecting all sorts of data, which we're still going through. If you're ever in a mood where you're like, humanity sucks, we suck as a race, we're just going to destroy ourselves. If you watch Goodnight Oppy, you're like, damn, I now know what the doctor sees in us. Like, we're kind of cool. Like we're
that's awesome.
Like we can do
awesome.
cool stuff when we want to. So I definitely recommend that movie. It's on Amazon. You can watch it. It's a doc. It's amazing. Next up is Everything Everywhere All at Once. As Mike said, this is a surprise out of nowhere. I also agree that Michelle Yeoh will be nominated, and she'll probably lose to Cate Blanchett for Tar. But I saw Tar, and Kate is amazing in that. Kate will get an award for that, deservedly so. But Michelle Yeoh is amazing in this movie. This movie is bonkers, but those of us who love multiverse stories or time travel, or it's just so inventive and so amazing. And it's one of the best things I've seen Jamie Lee Curtis in ever. It's just a great story, but at the core of it, it's this tale between a young girl and her mother, at an age when she, when the young girl needs her mother and yet is conflicted by her mother. The same sort of themes are introduced in Turning Red as well. So it was a weird thing for that, but this movie is bonkers visually. I've still not processed everything that happens in this movie. It's one that you definitely can watch over and over and over again. My second movie of my 10 is The Fabelmans.
Hey, good point for it. Good point for
it. Paul Dano is much better as Spielberg's dad. Oh, sorry. The Fabelman's dad.
Oops.
Than he is as the Riddler. It's hard for me to believe it's the same guy, but The Fabelmans it's not a perfect movie, but as Mike said, it's one of my favorite Steven Spielberg movies now. It's probably his most personal movie that he's made. And there were points in here where I think they were the most powerful scenes that he's ever directed in any of his movies. And there was also a sequence that really rang true to me personally. So, and as Mike said, it's got one of the best cameos. It's got the best cameo of the year at the end. So, yeah, it's definitely the, so that's 10 through 2. My number one movie is not a traditional fictional movie, but it's an experience. You go to the movie theater and you can get immersed in this world that is unlike any other. And my top movie is Moonage Daydream. If you had told me that it would be possible to go to the movie theater and in 2 hours or so enter the world of David Bowie and really get inside what he was about and the kind of worlds he created and his music over
beautiful.
The years and how it evolved, I wouldn't think it was possible. I just wouldn't think, like, you can't make a movie about David Bowie. That's just too complicated. That's too, like, but this movie does it, and it does it in such a way that almost everything in the movie, all the dialogue or whatever, is from David Bowie himself. They're based on interviews that he did over the years, and it's all cut together as if he's telling his story to us. And it's an amazing document and an amazing tribute to, I think, one of the most amazing artists of our time. And so That's no easy feat. So and to see that in the theater, I don't regret that at all. And now we're going to go up in our points because we just got a cat sighting.
Yep. Thank you, Daisy, for that cameo. So that's the best celebrity cameo of the year.
there you go. So that's my top 10. A lot of different things on that one. So now we also want to do our top TV series, but in this one we're going to have to just do lightning round. So we won't have a lot of time to really dive into what makes our shows, and maybe we can do that on a patron only or something like that at some point and delve into it. But just to get it out there, Ashley, what were your top 10 series,
All
whether
right.
it's network or streaming?
Around the World in 80 Days. Love seeing David Tennant in a completely different role. Great update of the story while still in a period drama setting. Loved it. All Creatures Great and Small season 2. This is one of the coziest TV series I've ever seen. It just makes me feel happy after I watch it. Next, Obi-Wan Kenobi. This series was not perfect, but it did have one of my favorite all-time favorite Star Wars characters, Darth Vader. So of course I have to give it points for that. Loved seeing Ewan McGregor again. This could have been a movie, but I put it as a TV special, Werewolf by Night. Just fantastic, beautiful black and white. Loved everything about it. Want more. Moon Knight, great to see Oscar Isaac join the MCU. Loved the character. Loved the Egyptian mythology worked in, and want to see more of that. My favorite period drama guilty pleasure, Bridgerton season 2. It's just, yeah, there's not much historically accurate about it, but it's just a lot of fun if you love period dramas. Ms. Marvel, love this story of a family story, a coming of age story, just fantastic. Wednesday, here it is at number 3. Didn't even plan to watch it, but so good. Jenna Ortega's a revelation.
Thank your dad.
Great.
Just remember, thank your dad.
Thank you, Dad. Yeah, like here it is, number 3, one of my favorites of the year. So good. House of the Dragon. I just got completely absorbed in the story. I loved seeing the characters, the political intrigue of Game of Thrones. Got excited every Sunday night to go downstairs and watch this and hear the theme song again. Love it. Can't wait to see more of the story. Don't spoil me, please, because I don't know what happens. So, and then somewhat humbling as one of the world's biggest Star Wars fans to admit my favorite show of the year is actually Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Was fantastic. Loved Captain Pike. Loved all the crew. Just what a fun, great Star Trek series. So,
it made Star Trek fun again, basically.
I just really enjoyed it, and it felt like some of the original series and characters are my favorite Trek characters. So it was just kind of nice to feel something that brought that back. So loved it and can't wait to see more.
Awesome.
Perfect.
All good picks. And some of them definitely made my list as well, and probably Mike's. Let's hear it.
All right, number 10, Ring of Power was just awesome. I'm a huge Tolkien fan, and it was a toss up between that and House of Dragons, and like number 11 was House of Dragons for me. So number 10, Ring of Power. I like, seeing a pre Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, Middle Earth. It was just really cool to see. Number 9, season 2 of The Righteous Gemstones. Awesome show on HBO Max. If you ever get a chance, it pokes so much fun at the televangelist and the families behind that. Definitely worth checking out. Number 8, Stranger Things season 4 was a ton of fun. I think it brought season 3. I thought they lost their way a little bit, and season 4, I think they found their groove again, and it kept me on the edge of my pants basically the whole time. Not the edge of my seat, but the edge of my pants. So it's pretty. All right. Number 7, Interview with a Vampire season 1 was amazing. Amazing. And I see us doing an episode on that in our future. That's how much I liked it. And for anyone who's an Anne Rice fan, this is a great, great adaptation at it. So it's pretty cool. Number 6, Only Murders in the Building, season 2. Amazing show on Hulu. And, Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez are magic. Just all together, they are just great. And I felt like they lost their way a little bit in the middle of the season, but they knocked it out of the ballpark at the end with who was the mystery and everything. And I'm already looking forward to season 3 because they hinted at it at the end of season 2. So that was pretty cool. Number 5, Wednesday. Wednesday, we talked all about it, a couple episodes ago. And you know what? That was just amazing. Can't say enough about Jenna Ortega is her name, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She was fabulous. She was just great. And I am looking forward to seeing what they do with season 2. And looking forward to that. Number 4 is a show I'm watching on Apple Plus. It's called For All Mankind. It's an alternate history of, what if the Russians basically made it to the moon before America, and then where it goes from there, and how the space race continues all the way up almost to present, up into like the early 2000s. And they're only on, like I said, they're only on season 3, and it is just an amazing, amazing show. And if you're not watching this, you're missing out, folks. This is such a good show. It was almost my number 1 show. That's how good it was. But there's so much better even than this. So that's how much. Number 3, Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul ended perfectly. I liked how that last season of Better Call Saul much better than Breaking Bad. It was just awesome. And Saul Goodman, Jimmy McGill got his, the ending he deserved. And I thought it was perfect. And it was awesome also to see Carol Burnett in a series again too. So
absolutely,
that was just awesome. Strange New Worlds is my number 2. Sorry, Ashley, couldn't get to number 1.
Close.
Because number 1, I would be crucified if I didn't do number 1 for Sandman. Sandman was just awesome. Loved every instance of Sandman. And, it was the Sandman I've been hoping for almost the last 30 years. And it was great to see. Since I read issue number 1, this came to life, and I just had a blast with it. And, thank you, Neil, for doing it right. And thank you, Netflix, also for doing it right. So
absolutely,
that's my list.
All right. So without further ado, I will say on the outset, like at 11 in the 11th spot, hovering, trying to get in, Rings of Power, House of Dragons, and everything that the MCU on Disney Plus, everything that the MCU aired on Disney Plus. They're all just kind of waiting to burst into my 10, but I just found these.
I was the same way with that. I was totally the same way with that.
Yeah. They're just, these 10 were just more compelling to me by sometimes just a little bit, but still. All right. So number 10 for me, Doom Patrol. I love this series. It's one of my favorite DC hero series. It's airing. It's crazy pants, and it continues to be crazy pants. I think this is probably going to be its last season now that's airing, and I just love these characters. I love Michelle Gomez, and she's great in this. She was introduced in the last season. She's awesome, and you just never know what this show's going to do. And it has, we talked about the Umbrella Academy being odd. Well, to me, Doom Patrol is just bizarre and weird in the best kind of way. And I don't see how they're going to let this continue, but I'm enjoying it while it lasts. Let's put it that way.
They have monster butts, of course they can't let it continue.
Oh man, we are experiencing the butt apocalypse this year. That's for sure. All right, so next up, 9, Star Wars Andor. I think this was a breakthrough series for the Star Wars franchise. This was definitely a show for adults, for more mature Star Wars fans, in a Star Wars setting. Has some really rich characters, some really gray areas, that Star Wars usually doesn't deal with very well sometimes. It starts off slow. It's a slow burn, but it starts off with the main character murdering somebody, and you're like, oh, this series is okay. It's not your traditional Star Wars, but yet you care. It's got really thrilling moments in it, and you get to see stormtroopers get shot. So I mean, it's a win-win. Next up is Interview with the Vampire on AMC. Amazing adaptation of one of my favorite books, one of my favorite stories. This is going to be really interesting to see how it continues, especially in the next season. But I thought the tone was right, and everything about the show worked for me. Even though they changed quite a few things, everything still worked. The core of the story, the core of the characters was still present, and I thought that really worked really well. Number, I think 7, we're on Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
It's finally glad this show finally came back. This is the best season since the first season. And what it did for Kate Bush, I can't help but love that. It made me care about the characters. The threat was real. It had so many cool moments, and it turned out to be one of the the most popular cosplays at Dragon Con. Like, it just excelled in all levels.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Star Wars Strange New Worlds, really?
Yeah, I know, right?
What? I missed one?
That's a new one, right? Strange New Worlds, I've been not too quiet about this, but not too loud about it. But I've been kind of not getting into Star Trek over the last, I don't know, it feels like a decade now. But this show really, really brought me back into it. I love the idea of the Enterprise being the center of the show. I love the idea of exploration and seeking out strange new worlds and seeking new life and having experiences like that. And the core cast is great. There's some folks that I think it's got a little too much Spock sex in it, but overall it's amazing. Next up is a series on HBO that, man, it might count as a documentary, but I'm going to put it in here because there's more than one episode. And it's George Carlin's American Dream.
That was so awesome. It was so awesome.
It's great overview of the career of he wasn't just a comedian. He was like our generation's Mark Twain.
He was a social commentator.
Exactly. The things that he pointed out were things that were and to watch his journey through that, because he just started off as a traditional kind of guy with wearing a suit and everything, and he became one of the most controversial figures in comedy as well as just in pop culture, and everything that he went through and all of that. It's a great documentary of a great man.
Well, it was cool because it showed how he kept on reinventing himself over and over and over again. And it just showed his brilliance. And,
absolutely.
So I agree completely with that one.
Yeah. It's the best documentary that I think I've seen, at least as a series, on this year, 2022. So we get to my top. What do we got? 4 now. Wednesday is in 4th place, for all the reasons you said. But as good as Jenna is, and she's amazing, it doesn't work unless the story is good. It doesn't work unless I'm compelled and the mystery is intriguing and the tone is there. Tim Burton sets the tone. The two guys, the two creators from Smallville, set the story and the characters, and it just works. It's just a thing of beauty. So it's better than it has any right to be, really. And again, it has an iconic dance scene that is going to live in infamy, right? It's just amazing. Number 3 is Only Murders in the Building. A lot of people said it dropped the quality second season, but I think it is just as strong. Sometimes I didn't know where it was going, but that was a good thing. I love the 3 leads. And to me, it's one of the most well-written shows on TV. And speaking of that, my number 2 is Better Call Saul. How this show has never gotten an Emmy award for acting, writing, whatever, I don't understand. I prefer this show, as Mike kind of hinted, but this season, but I prefer, as a whole, I prefer this show over Breaking Bad. And I didn't hate Breaking Bad. I love Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad's a
Mhm.
brilliant show. But Better Call Saul, and you're right, Mike, they nailed the ending. It's so well done that it just bookends the show, and you have no qualms about telling people from start to finish, this show is solid. So I definitely think they ended it well. But my number one, I have to agree with my co-host, the Sandman. The Sandman is this show couldn't have been done. Nobody thought this show could be done. Nobody thought this show could be faithfully adapted in a live action setting. And yet what we got was so amazing and so like the comics and so much more in a lot of ways. It took chances that a lot of shows don't do. It depicted a different, it's just totally new. It's totally different than anything else that's on TV. So I didn't know how they were going to be able to pull it off, and yet they did. And if this show, I think, is still in flux, we don't know if they're going to get a second season.
They've
So
announced
if
they've
this,
announced the second season.
did they? Oh,
Yes.
thank God. Because this show is absolutely amazing, and it's a credit to everybody involved, Neil and everybody, that this show is as good as it is, because it shouldn't be this, like, nobody thought doing this show was possible, and here we have this show now to prove that anything is possible. So so yeah, that's my lot. So much. There was so many series that you guys saw that and so many that I didn't mention, but it's just such, I'm still behind. I've still got stuff to binge, like on my DVR and on streaming and everything, bookmarked and everything. So who knows? Like, you know, when in a few months from now, when I get like sort of caught up on some stuff, like,
you're never going to get caught up. That's
Nope.
the thing. You're never going to get caught up. That's the problem.
You're probably right. You're probably right. So and that's our lists.
And we will actually have our lists up in the show notes so people can, you know, see them and everything. And, you know, we might even expand the list, maybe do our top 15, you know, maybe throw it in there a little bit, just to give you some reason to go check out the show notes. So definitely.
I think we've given a lot of people who are watching us and are listening to us things to hopefully check out, because we love them so much, but also probably things that they're like, no way, this is better, you should watch this. And I look forward to people telling us what we should be watching and what we missed.
Oh, very much so. And, you know, there's certain things, you know, none of us mentioned. What was it? Yellowstone. A lot of people are watching, or, you know, some of the other shows that are out there.
Harrison Ford on TV.
White Lotus. You know, there's so much other stuff
that
and everything. So yeah, so there's tons and tons of stuff. So definitely let's take a quick break, but we will be back and we're going to close up the show. And this was a good one, folks. This was a lot of fun. You know, definitely want to hear about your lists too. So definitely write us and, you know, say we're right, wrong, whatever. So let's take a quick break. All right. And this is where we usually take the break for the podcast. So this is a little bonus stuff. Was there anything that, you know, you wanted to be in the top 10, guys, that didn't make the list? Or anything?
I mean, there's so many things that were just like shy of the 10, you know, that I had to bump off. But like I said, overall, like, there was very few things that were 4.5 or 5 stars.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That just like blew me away. Like, this is going to go on my all-time favorites list.
Right.
So it's just a matter of like, okay, these 8 films are 4 stars. Right. Which ones do I include and which ones don't?
Yeah.
Well, exactly. Well, that's why I didn't do many of the Marvel movies and stuff, because, you know, I enjoyed them, but I don't think they were top 10 in any of them. So, and, you know, Strange Adventures, I just saw that on Disney Plus.
Oh, I have not had a chance to see it.
It is awesome. If you get a chance.
I was curious.
It is, Mike, you're going to love it. If you know, it's like those.
Yeah, I got it bookmarked.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those that is just like, oh, this is great. this is just awesome. So yeah, there's tons and tons of stuff we could be talking about. And Quantum Leap, the new one on Peacock or NBC, has been great. We've added that to, we've started watching that. The TV show Ghosts is just awesome, both the BBC version and the American version. And those are both fun. And you could find the BBC version actually on HBO Max if you want to watch it. And it's fun because the stories, they start out the same, but they split off, and not all the ghosts are the same too. So it's pretty cool. So definitely, if you want, those are some ideas for suggestions of some of the other stuff. Also Upload. And I know you weren't thrilled with Stargirl, but I loved the last season of Stargirl and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's solid.
Yeah. So there was tons of stuff.
Tons of stuff.
All right, let's close up this sucker. All right, here we go. So that's going to wrap up another episode of the Earth Station One podcast. Let's thank Ashley for sitting in with us to go over her top 10 lists.
Oh, thank you. I love top 10s. I love lists. So it's always fun to put them together and then talk about them with other people and see how they compare and contrast.
I had like 10 versions of this list because it just kept on going and everything. Anything you want to shout out about real quick?
Yeah, I would just encourage people, as we're in a new year, just like keep an open mind and try something a little bit outside your cinematic or TV comfort zone. There were a lot of stuff on my list that I wasn't initially interested in, and then they became one of my favorites for the year. So just make an effort to try something a little bit different. And even if you don't end up loving it, it can still be worthwhile to help you grow as a consumer of media and storytelling. So that would just be my shout out. Just pick something this year that's a little bit off the beaten path.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. Mr. Mike, we've made it through another one, my friend.
We did. And as always, it's my pleasure.
And we made it into a new year, which is pretty amazing.
I don't know. I don't know how we do it.
I don't either. It just keeps on going. It keeps on going. Anything you want to shout out about, sir?
I do. It's kind of one of my honorable mentions. It's a documentary that I saw that, man, I wanted to put it on my list so much, but I couldn't have room. But it's a documentary. All of us have Disney, that I have Disney Plus. Love the Star Wars side. We love the Marvel side. We even love the Disney side, the Pixar side. I don't know how many of us actually click on the National Geographic side, but damn, there's some good stuff there. And one of the documentaries that was released this year was called Fire of Love. And
I saw a trailer.
It's two volcanologists that were real life volcanologists in the late 60s, 70s, 80s. And they just loved exploring and checking out active volcanoes. And they filmed everything. So there's these amazing visual shots of volcanoes erupting, different kinds of volcanoes, very dangerous and yet spectacular looking. And it's kind of a sad tale because, spoiler, they died exploring an active volcano. But you know what? They died doing what they love, and it's a great testament to what they did. I think will stand the test of time. And it's two people I didn't know about, but now I don't think I'll ever forget them because what they did was amazing.
That's pretty awesome. It's supposed to be a great story, and there's a lot of cool stuff on National Geographic up there, and so many people don't click on it.
I know.
And it's like there's so much content up on the Disney Plus. It's just amazing and everything. So it's interesting though, because tie into mine, just folks, we're coming into a new year. It's 2023, and like both Ashley and Mike said, check out new things. There's so much to check out up there. We made our top 10 list earlier tonight, but you know what? We couldn't even scratch the surface of what's out there. And there's only so many hours in a day now for content. And we used to, joke when we were kids, we only had like 4 or 5 channels, what would little us say, with seeing all their minds would be blown and everything. And we thought we had the world with cartoons in the afternoon when we got home school, or we had, Saturday morning stuff, being up at 6 a.m. to start watching cartoons all the way through. And, trying to explain to my son, that there was an Indian head on your TV from like 1 a.m. till 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And when TV stations went off the air, they actually played the national anthem and shot fireworks off and stuff. So, just 2023 is going to be big, folks. Hopefully it's going to be positive and good for all of us. And let's jump into this new year with some great hope and some great aspirations for us all. I think it's going to be a big year of change, which is going to be awesome. So definitely pretty interested in that. Speaking of that, we're going to be back again next year. Not next year. We're going to be back again we're going to be back again next week, and we are going to be back in our next episode, and we are going to be putting 2022 into the geek seat. We're not done with that year yet. This is the ringer, folks. This is the big one. This is when we get, all our, oomph out about, 2022. So it should be a ton of fun. And you know what? It's going to be great for us to be able to do that and talk all about, what we loved, what we didn't love, and what disappointed us and what made us go, wow. And, not just egg on our face, but made us go, wow. So it's pretty darn cool. So as I always like to say, it's always great to talk to everyone. And we definitely would love to hear from you guys. Please, as always, write us back. And you know what? We definitely would love to hear from you at feedback@earthstation1.com. Thank you. If you get a chance, please click on the subscribe button on YouTube or on your wherever you're listening to it. Subscribe to our show. We're getting better numbers. We really are, but we want to get even better. We want to get bigger and get advertisers and all that kind of stuff. So this is what it's all about, folks. The thumbs up on YouTube, the subscribe, the likes, or on your internet player, on Apple, on Google, on Amazon, wherever you listen, Stitcher, Spotify, blah, 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 as I always like to say. It's always great to do that. And you know what? As always, thanks for listening to the Earth Station One podcast. We couldn't do this without you folks. We want to hear from you. Like we always say, please write us at feedback@earthstation1.com. Remember, Earth Station One now can be found wherever fine podcasts are found. And you know what? You could also find us in video format up on YouTube. Please subscribe and tell all your friends about us. On behalf of myself, Mike Faber, Mr. Mike Gordon, Ms. Ashley Pauls, and of course, all of you, thanks for listening. We will see you next year. We will see you here next time on Earth Station One. Stay safe, hug your loved ones, and we'll see you soon. Peace. Hope you had a great New Year's, folks. Cheers. Peace. And we are done. Boom.